Great. Okay, so we're being recorded. Feel free to do any screen captures and watch the chat. We'll be putting in a couple of documents there, and I might ask you the occasional question in the chat as well. Okay, so those are our topics. I will start with the breakout rooms. So breakout rooms, basically in our chapter, the person who runs the Zoom meeting arrives. Our chapter, Open Networking, starts at 6:35. In our case, we have the members start to arrive about 6:30, 6:35. The Zoom host designates visitor hosts as Zoom co-hosts. And you're familiar with, hopefully you're familiar enough with Zoom and know the duties of the co-host to help others with renaming and so on. We hold the visitors. Now we do tell them not to show up till 6:45, but as would often happen in in-person meetings, the visitors would show up earlier. We put the visitors in a waiting room. We've got the waiting room message that tells them that we will be letting them in on schedule. And as the members arrive, we put one visitor host, who's the co-host, into a breakout room. We also put 3 to 6 members into a breakout room as well. And then we put each visitor into the breakout room. Now we bring in a visitor and they're greeted by the president, and the co-host is there. Or sorry, the visitor host coordinator is there. The visitor host coordinator will ask them their name, get the pronunciation down, and then we will move them into a breakout room. Now ideally, we put them in a breakout room with the invitee, the person who invited them, or their potential referral partners. And what's vital with the breakout room is that we use what we refer to as the rename slide. The co-host of each breakout room has this rename slide. It really helps to emphasize that the focus is on the visitors. It helps keep the conversation on track, because if it starts to sway, the co-host, the visitor host can bring the conversation back by asking, okay, tell me about your business, tell me your name, and so on. The co-host helps the members to rename. It also helps the visitors and the subs to rename. So we're very big in our chapter on using the rename field so that we know who is there and people can put across their business and so on. So we're very big about using the rename field. This also tells the visitors what to expect, runs them through a brief agenda. And it's not just the generic plain agenda, it's also explaining what the point of the agenda is, and can say, right now we're doing open networking. At 7, we'll be called into the main room. We cover the introductions. We do the visitor introductions, lets them know the questions that they will be asked. Then gets into the weekly presentations where we tell them that this is where we talk about our business and the referrals we're looking for, and we tell them to take notes, that there is a trade sheet that we'll have. And I'll be touching on the trade sheet shortly. We also tell them to note your potential referral partners and to note if they would like personal introductions. So we're really trying to set that expectation in the visitor's mind. So pop into the chat, do you use the renaming field in your chapters? So yes or no? Do you use the renaming field in your chapter? Good. Excellent. I visit lots that not. Yeah, we found the same, that enough but not well enough. And that's why when we started doing this, it really ramped it up for using the renaming field. So getting further in the presentation, we've helped them to rename. We've told them the expectation. We also tell them why we do the reports, that this is a chapter scorecard, where the feature presentation fits in, and why we do the I have. And then we tell them again that there will be a visitor orientation. And once we run through all that, and one of the neat things too, this is a screenshot of the breakout rooms where we've got everybody renamed. We know who they are. We know their businesses. Certainly helps with the visitors to see who they are. Because we've designated the visitors and the subs, it makes it easy to have them introduced. It makes it easy to move them into the visitor orientation later. And if you notice, the names of the breakout rooms, they're based on the BNI core values. That's what we name our breakout rooms after. So it's sort of a subtle reinforcement to the members. Oh, I'm going into the Traditions and Innovation meeting room. Just reinforces that with the members. Bonus too, this makes it very easy for the VP to take attendance. VP is also a co-host in Zoom and can easily see where everybody is located. That's how we handle the breakout rooms. Next up, we use trade sheets. Some chapters call this a chapter roster. So this is a sheet that's got a list of the members, maybe their contact details and so on. So put into the chat, do you use any kind of a trade sheet or chapter roster that you give to the members or the visitors in your chapter? You can pop in a yes or no into the chat. This is what our looks like. This is what our trade sheet looks like. It's based upon our power teams. Now, this is the chart we use. This is a chapter that chartered in December, so it's new. They were using this through the whole launch phase. And some of you purists may say, well, that's not really a power team, that's a contact sphere, that's a referral partner. The point is that we've organized the members in a certain process. So for the rest of this conversation, I will refer to it as a power team. That's our trade sheet. Now this is sent as a PDF. And as a PDF, the contact details, the email address is linked. So a member or a visitor who has this trade sheet can click on the email address to be able to email. So it's another way that a visitor can connect with a member. What we also list are the vacancies. This is something I noticed in Barcelona. I visited a chapter there end of 2019 in person in Barcelona. They do their presentations. They've got a sheet and it lists the vacancies. And I loved it because I thought, gee, if I want to move to Barcelona, which was a very nice trip, if I want to move there, I know exactly where I fit in this chapter. So it really groups that in. And I'll be touching on that in a bit. Now, this trade sheet is sent in a welcome email to the visitors a day before the meeting. It's also emailed to the members, so they have the copy. It's uploaded to the chat at the beginning of the meeting, and it's also uploaded to the chat at the weekly presentations. We give lots of opportunities for the visitors to get the trade sheet, and we certainly encourage our members to print them off and to be able to fill them out. And they're very popular. We get lots of comments about them from the members. Next, at the weekly presentations, we have a slide, the QR code. At this point, the president also mentions that we've got the trade sheet to check the chat. We've got the QR code. There's a usability issue with QR codes. First, people have to recognize it as a QR code. They have to know what to do with it. If they've connected to the meeting on their phone, they can't scan in the QR code. We registered a domain name, bniworldclass.ca. that goes directly to the same place the QR code does, which is our BNI website. If a visitor didn't get the trade sheet or was on the phone, can still write down, oh, bniworldclass.ca, and they can still connect with the members that way. We've got all of these ways that the visitors can connect with the members. And that leads us into the next topic of the weekly presentations. Now, in the World Class chapter, we have the visitors go first. I won't go into all of the reasons there, but we have the visitors go first, and they already know the questions that they're going to be covered. So it helps to eliminate that nervousness of, oh, what do I say? They were prepared earlier in the breakout room. Can you just pop into the chat? Do you have your visitors go before or after the members? So just put in before or after. Okay, so a majority is after. So we have them go first. It gets that out of the way, then we go through the members. Now, our members, the weekly presentations are done by Power Team. And the president will explain what the Power Team is. The order of the Power Teams changes each week, but the order within each Power Team stays the same each week. We always have the feature presenters Power Team goes first. And so I'll run through a couple of examples of that. This slide comes up with the Business Services Power Team that lists all of the members on the Business Services Power Team. Give me 1 second here. Okay, the Business Services Power Team, we've got all the members listed, and they're listed in order. So they know that they're up. They know that they're always in the same order.
Presenting the Business Services Power Team.
Now, rather than have the president have to watch and monitor and introduce, we use an audio recording. And all the members hear that and they know, hey, we're up. We start off with the first one. Name of the member down at the bottom, it states who's coming. So Esther goes, then it's Marcus, then it's Melissa. Then down at the bottom, Melissa speaks. We know Riley is up. After Riley, it's Matthew. After Matthew, it's opportunities. Well, what is opportunities? It's a slide we've developed. We call it the opportunity slide. This lists the vacancies. This is read by the last presenter of the Power Team. And this is a member who does not have a speaking role in the meeting. So it's always read by the same person. Matthew knows he's always reading that slide. And again, like the trade sheet, this covers the vacancies. It lets the visitors know exactly where they fit in. It also reminds the members of who we're looking for, what the vacancies are in the chapter. We call this the opportunity slide. Give you another example, the health and wellness, where they're listed.
Presenting the Health and Wellness Power Team.
Antonio goes first, then Denise is up, then Laura, and then Quinn knows that she reads the next slide. And we adjust the vacancies on this slide depending on who the visitors are. So the evening before the meeting, the person who puts together the slide deck gets an email from the visitor host coordinator that these are our visitors coming the next day, because we really want to make it personal for them. I'm the person who is the Zoom host for the meeting. Was running through the slide deck. We knew a podcaster was coming. We put in podcaster for the marketing and events power team. And then I got a private message from the podcaster that says, "You mean you're looking for a podcaster?" So it was really nice and personal because we really want them to feel that this is where they belong. Now, when I explain this, sometimes people are confused. Well, how do you do it all? Well, the weekly presentations are done by Power Team. And we start with the Power Team, where the feature presenter is part of, and we just change the order. So for example, one week, the business services could be first because that's where the presenter is. And then we've got an order. Then the next week, we might put the business services at the bottom. The next feature presenter goes up. So we move those 6 power teams around throughout the whole meeting. So it really moves around when people are speaking. And why do we do all that? Well, here are Sean's top 10 reasons to organize the slide deck by power team. First, there's no more alphabetical order when members feel left out or they start to zone out. We've had some chapters where the people from about W to Z have quit because they're always at the end. They've just tuned out. And then the leadership team will say, "Oh, it's too much work to rearrange each week." Or some chapters, they've got absolutely no pattern in the weekly presentations. They juggle them all around so nobody knows who's speaking next. It's easy for visitors to follow along with that trade sheet. That trade sheet is grouped, as you'll see, it's grouped by power team. And they can go through each of the power teams are indicated. So they can see, oh, marketing and events is up. Great, this is here. And it's the same speaking order every week. Oh, here's the home services power team. They've been introduced. It's the same order as on the trade sheet, which makes it much easier for the members and the visitors to note down the weekly asks. It allows visitors to see where they belong in the chapter. We've had a few comments that, wow, I perked up. You said real estate team. Hey, that's my group. So it really helps to perk them up and to listen to what's happening there. It reminds members of the vacancies, and it also reminds the visitors of the vacancies. So if the members are wondering, well, who do I invite? Hey, we've got a vacancy for this. It's reinforced every week. There's a vacancy in this power team. So it helps to remind the members there. It groups the similar businesses or similar referral partners together. I was at one chapter, 50 plus people online, and there were 3 people who talked about water treatment, health water treatments, but they were scattered all through the meeting, all through the weekly presentations. And I found it really confused. Well, what do you do? Isn't that what somebody else does? Where's the tie-in? Because they were scattered everywhere. It emphasizes the value of building the relationships with the referral partners, with the fellow members that can bring them and that they can give businesses to. It just helps to reinforce that week after week after week. It also, as part of that, reminds them of who their power teams are, who their referral partners are, and helps to reinforce these are the people to book the one-to-ones with. These are the people they need to get to know. Number 8, the members start referencing their fellow power team members in their weekly asks. We had one meeting where the home services were up. We had the renovator talking about the shortage of wood. Wood is very pricey, and there's such a shortage of wood. Then the electrician came up and was talking about this huge shortage of materials. So the theme was kind of shortage of materials. So when we get to the fence installer who says it's now more economical to put in a metal fence than a wooden fence, it kind of ties it all together. We're going through some issues in our province. There's a shortage of materials. It ties it all together that, yes, this is an issue going on. So kind of their weekly asks were similar along those lines. It also allows members of the same power team to tell the same story or have the same ask. That chapter, I visited 2 chapters in Barcelona. In one of them, the 7 members of a power team, they do their in-person meetings by power team. They all got up at the same time. They combined their 7 minutes and they told a story of working on this one client. So all 7, and it was the marketing and events, the web person, the photographer, the SEO person, the IT people, they were all the writer. They all worked on this one client. So somebody got the job, 6 other people ate. And then in that presentation, they talked about it. And I was absolutely amazed. I had never seen anything like this. I was absolutely blown away. So effective how that presentation tied together and really, really emphasized how a chapter works together. So what an excellent thing for the visitors to hear. This is how a chapter works together. And then finally, number 10, it allows the slide deck master to easily rearrange the deck each week. And when I get to near the end of this, I'll be able to do a live demo of how that slide deck gets rearranged each week. So those are Sean's top 10 reasons to organize the slide deck by power team. Next, on the weekly presentation slides, they are a marketing tool. They aren't just something there to introduce the next speaker. They're a marketing tool, they're a credibility tool, and they emphasize the trust factor. So I'll run through a few to give an example of that. So here we have a member, weekly presentation. It's got her name, the name of the business, her seat in the chapter. It really amazes me how many chapters I visited online where I don't know what the member does. There's no indication of company name or there's no indication of seat in the chapter. So it's got that company name, the seat in the chapter, contact details. And notice the web address is case sensitive. So in this case, the P and the W and the V are uppercase. It makes it much easier to read. I mean, I'm a marketer. I do web development. This is what we do. It's much easier to read ProWorks Victoria rather than a whole upper or lowercase line. And there's no ugly http://www. It's the domain name. If a visitor doesn't have a trade sheet, it's easy to write down, oh, ProWorks Victoria, and look that up. Plus, this member, as part of that credibility and that trust factor, is part of the Better Business Bureau. So we've got the BBB as an accredited business and her logo. We've put in these trust factors because the slide is a marketing piece for every single member, every single meeting. A few other examples. We've got Terry, who sells cars. He's not just a guy that sells cars. He's licensed with the Vehicle Sales Authority of British Columbia. So we're separating him from everybody else who's out selling cars.
5 minutes, Sean.
Thanks. And we've got Ashley, who's a Red Seal certified electrician, which is very important to have out here. And in some places, legal requirements. We've got a multiple award-winning realtor. And we even do the same for people in BNI. So I happen to be a member of the Gold Club, so this gives my BNI credibility as well. So a few tips on the weekly presentation slide deck. The members are in the same order each week, just as they are in the trade sheet. The order of the power team is easy to arrange weekly. And let me give you a live demo. All right, let me set this up and go to Okay, so you can see my slide deck. I use a feature within PowerPoint that gives every slide a title. So let me make this a little bit smaller. So you can see here the title, Business Services, off on the left. And then I've got that slide for the Business Services Power Team. So I know everything between these two slides are the same power team. So I highlight the first, hold down Shift, highlight the second. I've highlighted them all in the deck. And now I just drag them down to where I want them to be between the next two, and I let them go. And that is how easy it is for me to rearrange the whole slide deck. So I find that incredibly easy, incredibly quick, and then there's no more excuses, let's say, that a chapter will give that, oh, wow, it's so hard to rearrange the slide deck each week. All right, that was my live demo. So a few quick summaries of how to engage members and visitors through the effective slide deck and the meeting structure. One is through the breakout rooms. It allows good open networking. It gives attention to the visitors, and it encourages everybody in the chapter to rename, not just the visitors, but also the members to rename. The weekly presentations. The order of the power team changes each week, as I just showed in the demonstration, but the order within the power team itself stays the same. And we use the slides as marketing and credibility tools for all the members. Plus, in the trade sheets, they're great for the members and the visitors. They can note their weekly asks, and they also reinforce the vacancies so that we can grow a chapter because everybody can see all of that. If you're interested in a workshop on using Zoom and PowerPoint, how we put together the slide deck, how we edit it, or how we run our meetings through Zoom, then you can contact me, Sean. I'm at Sean@radarhill.com. There's my number and my
1 minute, Sean.
Okay. And that's it. Any questions in the last minute?
Sean, I have a question.
Yep.
So when you have the feature presentation taking place, so you have your different categories of your power teams, and this week it's power team client services, and then next week it's the trades. And then it just starts at the top and then just keeps going down the list. Is that how you do the rotation within the list, within each week of each meeting?
No, in our chapter, the speaker rotation is alphabetical, which is aside from how we do the power team. So the secretary treasurer says, this is the speaker next week. So we know that power team is first. The rest are more or less random. I tend to take the power team that presented first this week, and I put them last in the following week.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much, Sean. As with all BNI meetings, we always enjoy starting on time and ending on time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sean, so much. That was amazing. I learned a lot.